Having a challenge. Some mighty fast names have pressured him, and he's racked up multiple championships in response. But his teammate Asturi is clearly going to be tough to outpace. Today we'll be telling on if he can take the fight to Bruno as we get ready to watch round 2 of the PRL GTE Sportscar Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Monza's history in motorsports is unmatched by all but a few circuits. Perhaps it's the simplicity that makes it so enduring. Let's look a little closer to learn more about Italy's most famous racetrack. Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place in racing history, not just for the legendary races, names, and cars that have been here, but because it was the third purpose-built car racing circuit in the world. It's often discussed and reverenced among fans, and especially by Italians who have nicknamed it the Temple of Speed. In fact, the Ferrari fans here are so famous for their devotion that they have been dubbed the Tifosi and never fail to show up in droves. While the real world offers only 3 feasible layouts to race on due to safety, in iRacing, the inclusion of the oval and the lack of safety concerns gives it a stunning 9 versions drivers can choose from. The modern GP layout is of course the most well known, with its long history of hosting the Italian Grand Prix. But the oval and combined circuits allow those who thirst for more speed to satiate that craving with its insanely high banking. Indeed, incredible velocities are a staple of just about every version you can race here. Draft battles are not uncommon, no matter which car you're racing. But the inclusion of the chicanes makes using an outbraking maneuver a much more tricky way of overtaking. The circuit is notorious for drivers getting tangled up with each other while running side by side in these slow and cumbersome corners. In fact, one of the greatest dangers for drivers is the first few laps when the field is still clumped together and attempting to navigate them 2 and 3 wide. While there are other modern circuits with high-speed straights, the fact that Monza sits inside the Royal Park just north of Milan and is still tightly lined with trees heightens the sense of speed here. All in all, Monza is unmatched in its history, thrills, and great racing. Its significance in motorsports history and culture is sure to be unchallenged for years. Monza has some incredible sights, which is fitting. You'd expect that, being located in a picturesque park. But Ossian, they're racing the Grand Prix version, the one F1 does, and that's going to be interesting in these GT cars.
Yeah, hello, hi, welcome. It's great to be here again. Autodromo Nazionale Monza, what can you say? It's a legend. It's been here for 100 years. It'll be here for 100 more at least. And, you know, the Formula 1 version, you got the chicanes, you got the runoffs. They also race GT cars here. But what this means for these GT cars is a lot of traffic. A lot of bunching up coming into the chicanes. Those are going to be the real danger zones. But yeah, the track basically 3.6 miles, 5.8 kilometers for those who want to, you know, speak in civilized units, 11 turns, and it's going to be a 1-hour race here. And 1-hour race, that's going to mean a lot of overtaking, not a lot of chances to get away, and Joe, always an interesting race.
Yep, it was an interesting one last season as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but as always, today's race is brought to you by SIMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams, managers, engineers, and of course, motorsport fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at simsa.net. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, championship is on its way. We had our first round and we mentioned it. Bruno Asturi, he's fast. He was able to beat his teammate Abder Acosta to the victory at Interlagos. Narciso was the one that wound up coming home in third. And our pole sitter last round, Rodrigo Mies, fell back to 7th. So, still has to work on that race pace, even though he is typically fast and has taken poles before last season as well. Paulo Munoz rounds out our top 5 on the board for the driver's standings. But as always, Ozzy, we have a team's championship too.
Yes, that we do, and I don't think anybody's too surprised to find Level Motorsports in the lead of that one. They took a 1-2 after all last week at Interlagos. Punto CL Racing Blue is in the second place ahead of Radicals Online Turn Racing. Then it's Punto CL Racing Red, so 2 Puntos in top 5. Nothing new under the sun. RSR Esport by G Performance rounding out your top 5 in team points, and as usual, after just one round, it's still mighty tight up front.
Everything could change after today, especially with the unpredictability here at Monza. Well, Let's show you what is predictable. It's round 2 out of 10, and you've got 4 different makes of cars that you can choose from in this GTE class. As was mentioned, it's a 60-minute race today, and it is open setup for each of these cars. But you can expect one pit stop for all 4 of them because they've limited the fuel cells compared to what the real cars can run. Now, they do have an incident cap with a penalty at 13 incidents and a disqualification at 20. And with a lot of chicanes, always comes big risk of having those off tracks. So disqualification is not off the cards. Now, you can get some bonus points that you saw listed there at the bottom of the screen. One of those that they are working towards right now is the pole position bonus point. And provisionally, Paulo Munoz has the quickest time in the qualifying. His second lap looks to have not counted, though. We'll see if anybody is able to go quicker than him. Squirrek, I believe, was our quickest in the warm-up. He sits in third on the first time around.
Munoz.
Munoz must have overtaken him late.
Yes, I know we talked about that, and I was wondering if you're gonna notice that. But yeah, Squirrel comes into second place actually right now with a 145.3, and it seems that those Ferraris are mighty fast here. Munoz, Burke, and well, Asturi is actually running a Ford. But then you got the Ferrari 1-2, and then those fast level racing guys, third and fourth with Rodrigo Mies running out their top 5. But yeah, Joe, coming back to your point, it's gonna be a very tight qualifying. But Munoz so far, his pace is very, very good. Very good.
Yeah, has a 10th over Squirrek right now. Waiting for a few other big names to get in there. I'm looking down through the order. Narciso only good enough for 6th, his first time through. One thing that we were noting as well is it seems, Ozzy, that the Fords and the Ferraris are really the cars to be in this season, and Monza seems to be no exception here today on that.
No, the Ford has been traditionally fast in the high-speed corners, in the high downforce corners, fast sweepers, and you have a surprisingly few of those in Monza. You don't really have fast corners. You have the Lesmos, which are kind of medium speed, and the X-Tof Parabolica, and Curva Grandes pretty much flat out anyway. But they have gained some straight line speed recently, whereas the Ferrari has lost some because that torque the engine has, the engine on the Ferrari has on the 6th gear, it's just amazing, and that's how it's always so fast in the more high-speed tracks, in the more less technical tracks. When you got those high-speed straights, you see the Ferraris just flying by. Whereas the Porsche, it's better in terms of the mechanical grip due to the engine placement, which is traditionally Porsche style. They say it's rear-engined. It's not quite rear-engined. It's more mid-engined, but the engine sits atop of the rear axle, so it's still further back than with most cars. But in the fast straights, the Porsche just doesn't have the pace, whereas the BMW, well, it is kind of hard to move 5 tons of steel around.
Well, ironically, I'm noticing that the Level Motorsports guys who are in Fords are using Ferrari tactics here because they've been swapping slipstream, and Acosta has used that to great effect. He is now up into second place. It looks like they've come back out, and now it's Bruno's turn. Oh, and he just spun, actually. We didn't see it on screen, so he's going to have to try and catch up to his teammate. This is Schmidt, who we see crossing the line. It looks like he jumped up a little bit there, but I lost him on my timing sheet, unfortunately. So we switch over to Hortal, who has yet to set his first lap until now. A 46.3. That's actually going to put him up in the mid-pack.
Yes, it is, and I was wondering when we'll see the teammate drafting begin here, because at Monza it is a draft circuit. We're gonna see a lot of drafting in the race, and we usually see it a lot in the qualifying as well. Why not use that advantage when you can start the draft from 1.5 or 1 second away, and by the end of the lap you've run up to your teammate. Ideally, you don't want to get closer than maybe 2 or 3 tenths. But you want to utilize the draft all lap long. And the guy in front, he has to be fast too. And the guy behind, his job is to nail the best lap he can to make up the time they lose in the dirty air in the fast long straights. Because even in Formula 1 cars, the draft is used in the qualifying here, even though the dirty air in Formula 1 cars is much, much more than it is with these GTE cars. Now, one name I am gonna name drop right now, because we were wondering together before the broadcast started how he's so slow. Well, Christopher Pfeffer, he improved his time at the last minutes of the warm-up, put in 45.4 and screwed up his first corner in his qualifying lap, but he is currently sitting in 8th place. Still, if he manages to put in a 45.4 here, that would put him right in the 6th place, 7th place, potentially in the running, and he could be a dark horse here today with his racecraft.
Absolutely. Stevenson, though, in one of the not well-liked Porsches today, doesn't get a better lap that time by. Looks like that one did not count. Two other drivers I saw working together were Bacigalupo and Skworek, and it's brought Bacigalupo up to 5th. Skworek is still sitting in P3, trying to catch Munoz and Acosta.
And just spun, actually.
Yeah, so he's going to have to restart. It's not short laps around here, even though it's a very simple track. It takes a bit of time. So with 4 minutes left, anybody who has taken a tow back to the pits recently is going to have to get back out there and get going soon. Brea in 17th. Looks like another non-lap, so another driver that's got to go around one more time.
Yeah, indeed, and you can also see now we are coming to the final points of the qualifying. We have Abner Acosta actually behind a train, and that train has Paulo Munoz, Anderson Schmid, Mateus Narciso, and Rafael Russo on it, although Schmid is slowing down enough. But that is a great place for Acosta to be in. So if he manages to follow those guys through, I'm just gonna check if he's on a fast lap or not. He should be actually on a halfway decent lap, and as such he may be getting a good draft from these guys in front, and when you get a draft from like 2 or 3 guys, that's a whole different situation to getting a draft from just one guy. So he might be challenging the pole position of Paulo Munoz on this lap.
Yeah, with the help that he's getting from Acosta, this is looking good. And as you mentioned, Acosta getting just a tiny bit of it, I would imagine, from Russo. As they come through Ascari. Let's stick with this all the way to the line. I'm curious to see what this is going to do for their lap times. Munoz chasing both of them. Maybe he'll extend that gap just as they catch them. As they come down into Parabolica. A little bit of a look for Asturi, but he's not let by his teammate. The Level Motorsports car is going to stay line astern. Acosta goes way wide. I would think that might have been an off track for him.
Yeah.
So that won't count, but that doesn't matter because right now he's trying to give his teammate the help, and his teammate doesn't go faster. Asturi stays P4, actually. He's bumped down as Munoz has his lap unfortunately discounted.
Indeed, and it's so easy to cut a chicane a little bit too much here, especially in these closing moments when you already have a good time. But guys like Bruno Asturi, for example, they had a better time in warm-up. He knows he has at least 1.5 tenths in him, but do the track conditions allow it anymore? Do his tires allow it anymore? He has to has to really push it in order to improve his lap time, and that is what qualifying is all about. It is about that one flying lap where you put in all your experience, all your guts, all your skill, and all your commitment, and put it in that 1 minute 45 second long lap. So it's a very short effort, but you really put in the effort you put into it, even though it's short. It is a lot. And driving a good qualifying lap sometimes is even more difficult than driving a good race. As funny as that sounds, because you have to really nail it in the qualifying, especially in places like Monza, where the qualifying is always tight. And you got guys like Asturi, for example. He would much rather start in the first row than the second, because when you start in the second row, third row, fourth row, all the way down, the chances of getting into an accident at the first or the second chicane, they increase by a lot, and I do mean a lot. So that's also something in the back of these guys' mind. But I don't see Asturi improving at all on this lap, even though he's getting a draft. He went a little bit wide, but Munoz, well, if this lap counts, it might be a good one.
Yeah, he's being helped by Asturi, and Asturi does go faster. It's a 45.2. Doesn't give him a position, unfortunately. Eisler and Munoz both have their laps discounted. Eisler sits in 16th. We haven't been covering him a whole lot. Another driver stuck with the Porsche. And Brea coming across the line stays 19th. Now, worth noting, you mentioned the track conditions. It's actually pretty good conditions and getting better because it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and it's quite late in the evening. It's 7:30 p.m. virtual standard time. So the temperatures are only going to continue to cool as the sun gets lower in the sky. There you see only a tiny bit of wind affecting the driving too.
Yes, and I should translate air condition 26 degrees Celsius, track conditions right now 28 degrees Celsius.
All right, checkered flag falls for the qualifying session, and it looks like Strykars is going to be our first one to take that. So the number 7 comes around out of Parabolica. He's down in 29th with a 47.1. That was his previous lap as his quickest, and this one's not going to be faster. He stays put. Stevenson is next up. Last car with a time right now. He can only go up from here, and his last lap was also his best. He improves it by about a tenth, and that's not going to be enough to get him out of last on the field, unfortunately.
No, it's not. Asturi is coming to the line as well. He's at Parabolica. Let's see if he even has an improvement on his last lap. And he's coming to the line pretty aggressively, but he has no toe. So I don't think it could be well, it is an improvement, but it is a tiny, tiny one. 4 milliseconds only for Bruno Asturi.
That's not going to do it, unfortunately. He'll stay in 4th place. All that it does is give him a little bit of pride. Anderson Schmidt is next in 21st. The 46.3 on the board. A lot of drivers I'm noticing with off tracks in this qualifying session. He doesn't go quicker. Then it's Turbo Acerbo all the way down in 16th.
Yeah.
Not looking good here. Oh, that'll take him up a little bit. 45.9. That'll put him in 13th.
Not sure if it's better. It's Monza. Anything from 10th to 20th is pretty much Russian roulette here.
Yeah, always makes me think of, I think it was 2012 Monza that one of the back markers lost it and just flew across the first chicane. But let's go through our starting order for today because qualifying is now over. Paulo Munoz puts it on the pole with Abner Acosta responding to his teammate and sticking it on the front row, but not quite pole position. Still, he could maybe try and do something with Paulo as Don Squirek will be starting in 3rd, and right behind his teammate Bruno Asturi, behind Abner Acosta, starts P4. Lucas Bacigalupo will be P5. You've got Rodrigo Mies to the outside of row 3 in 6th place. Certainly not the pole we saw from him last round. Mateus Narciso starts in 7th with Horatio Calquin in 8th. Christopher Pfeffer, good enough for 9th today. Let's see if he can improve upon that. And Rafael Russo rounds out your top 10.
Fabio Gonzalez starting 11th, Michael Ross 12th, then it's Turbo Acerbo, Alexis Acerbo starting 13th, Javi Utrera starting 14th, Luis Paim Jr. 15th, Tristan Eisler, the Iceman melting in the Italian sun, only starting 16th, Ignacio Hortal 17th, Andres Espinosa 18th, Juan Reves Brea starting 19th, and Ted Sleek Lowendick starting 20th position.
21st goes to Anderson Schmidt with J.R. Williams starting P22. You've got Miguel Lopez Torres in 23rd, followed by Eduardo Gach. It's Pablo Uribe starting 25th. Then to his outside, Matt Hilton, P26 today. The 27th position will go to Kenny Rodriguez with Nick Udahog in 28th and Kyle Strykars in 29th. Jason Rimkus is the last on this group with 30th, but we've got a couple more cars with times. Liam Jenkins, 31st, James Nunn, 32nd, and David Stevenson, 33rd. Done again, didn't put a time in, but it looks like Stacy will take part because they have lined up at the end of the field, in which we have 34 cars that are looking to take place in this race today. Going to be very packed out there, and there you can see all of them as they were lined up on the back stretch, just heading underneath the old oval where they start behind the Porsche pace car.
That they do, and it's gonna be a whole lot of shuffling around on lap number 1, I'll tell you that bit. So we're gonna focus mostly on the leaders, hoping everybody gets through cleanly. But, you know, the most important here on lap number 1 at Monza, don't go 3 wide, don't go 4 wide, and don't go 5 wide. That's my 3 rules for lap 1 at Monza.
Well, considering iRacing has races every day of the week here in the regular GTE series, does that mean that every day they're shuffling?
Whew. Wow.
I'm
Where do I
proud of
turn
that
in
one.
my contract?
I'm proud of that one. Anyways,
You should.
Abner Costa is up at the front with Paulo Munoz leading the way into Parabolica behind that Porsche pace car. They're going to be released for 60 minutes here today. Who's going to play some fuel games? What is the draft train going to look like? Will there be one? Who can survive the first corner? So many questions that are going to be answered very, very soon because there is that pit entry as the Porsche pace car gets ready to peel in. There he goes. Munoz waits, and he is on the loud pedal. Green flag is out here for round 2 in the PRL GTE Sports Car Series. Very good jump over Acosta, who's already got Squirrek looking to the inside. Bacigalupo and Asturi also side by side behind them. In fact, it's a very much Noah's Ark start down into the first chicane into Rettifilio, up into second. Oh, and he overshoots the corner. That looks like it's Squirrek, actually, who is falling back. Meanwhile, behind them...
Bacigalupo is also in the gravel trap.
Oof, bad start for that team. Both of those drivers going to fall way down the order. Otherwise, it looks like it was relatively calm.
Yeah, it was relatively calm, and remember, we have an orange zone in this series. We haven't talked about that much, but orange zone, meaning that the stewards will look extra carefully at incidents in the first lap, and that means it is calmer than usual at Monza. We see a couple of overtakes, we see a couple of battles, but we are not seeing any larger incidents so far. The leading Quattro or the leading quintet has run away, but there are still some rather close battles through the back. Fabio Gonzalez and Luis Paim Jr., for example, fighting it out on the edges of top 10, and Paim Jr. looking to the inside and looking to the outside into Ascari, but nothing doing there so far.
Yeah, boy, this is incredibly spread apart up at the front. We got a big battle going on behind them as well between Espinoza and Christian Eisler. This is for 14th position. A whole train of cars. Hortal is right back there. Brea and Lowendick as well. In fact, looks like there's a bit of an attack with Hortal looking around the outside of Espinoza. Down into Parabolica. They both break deep, and they're going to make a little bit of contact. Unfortunately, that sends them off to the side with Brea being the innocent victim and Hortal tumbling into him.
Yeah, and that was Hortal just turning too early. We're gonna see it here as they come to Parabolica. They're gonna come side by side. Hortal is a little bit to the outside, wants to take position. He's ahead, but he is not clear. And there you see the contact, him just spinning out because he turned in a little bit too early. You can't leave that little room to the inside, especially not in lap number 1. And Brea, he got collected in that one as well and got sent into the wall with 2 cars colliding right next to the wall. So lap 1 concluded, and we already have a couple of victims, but surprisingly clean for Monza, I would say.
I was going to say that Pfeffer was in a battle, but he just slowed down big time. I think he must have had a penalty for cutting the course through Rettifilio. That lost him about 4 positions right there.
Yeah, here they come through Curva Grande. Christopher Pfeffer on focus as well, and he just had to slow down. Yeah, he was cutting it a little bit too much, and the good thing is that he didn't take it on lap 1, but lap 2. So the slowdown is a little bit easier on you when you actually have a delta time to compare against, but still not what you want to do here on the early stages of this Monza race.
Now this is looking familiar here because Acosta has Asturi right behind him, and I believe those two were in that position at the start of Interlagos as well. So are they playing the same game again where Asturi's saving fuel behind him? And can they catch Munoz as well? Because it's still 1.1 seconds, so it's not a huge gap, even though it's big enough that they are certainly not within range right now.
And Calguin and Ross are as well very close to each other. Michael Ross has gone past Horacio Calguin on this lap, but Calguin trying it again on the outside, getting very close to Michael and Ross, as a matter of fact, and getting through on the outside. So draft battles continuing. If Ross is smart, he will not challenge this, and he doesn't. They should draft each other and get away from guys like Rafael Rousseau, Javier Trailers, and so on behind. You don't want to battle too much early on. You want to establish dominance and then get away with it. And here, Calguin, he is lifting at the exit of the chicane, meaning that he has either cut the track at some point or he doesn't want to lead that back. Rafael Russo trying to challenge him as well. And look at the Beamer go. He's in the top 10.
But looks like Russo's Bimmer is going to stay in that top 10. He's in ninth now as they weave through Della Rosa. Not good enough to get into eighth. Cal Quinn fends him off. By the way, Asturi did slipstream by Acosta on the front stretch, and the teammates do seem to be working together here in the early stages of the race. I don't think that is a legitimate battle between those two.
Yeah, he would be absolutely daft not to, because the first thing, what are teammates good for in Monza? You want to draft them, you want them to help you, and that's what they can use. Asturi, Acosta, they have themselves, they have each other to rely on. It's kind of like super speedway racing in NASCAR, whereas, well, it's not quite as important. You can still make up some ground in the pure driving skill part alone, but you still need a teammate to pull you along. And now Asturi wants Acosta to be a little bit closer here on the main straight, so that he can be the guy getting towed along next time on the straight. But if they can't swap positions each time on the main straight, they will gain about 2 or 3 tenths per lap just by doing that.
They actually lost 2 tenths last lap, so it didn't quite work there, and they're not going to swap around this time, so they're not really gaining anything that we can tell. Things have calmed down a little bit, so we've got a moment to try and assess what happened in the opening chicane through Rettifilio. Let's pull up the replay, and it was two of our drivers on the Radicals online team, I believe.
So focus on the Ferrari of Don Skurak here, car number 71, red and white Ferrari. You can see him here heading towards turn number 1. Now he's gonna be on the inside of Abner Acosta heading into the corner, and he is gonna brake late into turn number 1. Unfortunately, he locks up his brakes and he goes very wide indeed over those high curbs, those sleeping policemen, and then he's gonna return back to track. He's gonna be a sitting duck. Meanwhile, as he is coming through Curva Grande, behind him, Rodrigo Mies and Christopher Pfeffer, they are side by side, they're gonna catch up to him, and you can see contact here just running out of room, and with Mies just half spinning around, and Pfeffer just hitting him, and they were really fortunate so that wasn't a bigger contact, but that was a very, very wild situation, and just in advance, if we're gonna have to put the blame on someone, it's a racing incident, but you know, Don Squirk, he should have been a little bit more to the left, because he can see in his mirrors that they're coming side by side there. There is no point really pinching those guys that much.
So as we come back live, Munoz still leading. It's 1.2 seconds, so they were mildly faster than the 3-2-1 that time by, but they have not swapped around. Asturi still leads Acosta. So we take a look at them working their way through Rettifilio. It's good under braking, but the accordion effect can sometimes cause an illusion there. And indeed, the timing and scoring tells the tale. They did not gain time through that first chicane. Munoz has them covered. Let's look a little farther back in the field to try and find ourselves a good battle. And I do believe 14th has Espinosa being chased by both Eisler and Lowendick.
Yeah, and Lowendick, he's made a silent but good start, gained 4 places since the start. And, you know, he's right behind this group, Eisler and Espinosa as well. Espinosa has been a little bit slow since his initial start, but seems to be getting his rhythm going. So not only do we have 3 cars in this battle, but we also have that one Porsche of Christian Eisler. So it's going to be interesting to see the differences between the Ferrari and the Porsche here. He is losing a bit of time on the straight line, even if he's in the draft. But out of those slow corners, the chicanes, well, he normally would be gaining time, but the one mortal enemy of the Porsche are the fast direction changes, as well as the curves. And you know what Monza has? Fast direction changes and a lot of curves. So it's going to be a difficult evening for Christian Eisler, but still he's doing a good job of hanging in there, staying consistent, staying calm in draft. And behind him, Ted Lowendick, what can he do? He had a bit of a disappointment at Interlagos, but this is a man who is slowly but surely improving with each and every round, and he's becoming a mainstay in our midterm battles.
Yeah, what you described probably explains a lot of why we see Eisler down in 15th, sandwiched between these two. He is the highest placed Porsche right now, interestingly, and He's pulling along Low Dick up to Redifilio, but Ted's going to give a little lift. He's not going to try and attack down into the corner for the time being.
Yeah, in front of them as well, an interesting battle brewing between Christopher Pfeffer and Fabio Gonzalez and Luis Palm Jr. 11 through 13th. And you can see those guys as well soon enough, because already Gonzalez has to defend a little bit to the inside in the second chicane. And Palm Jr., he's not going for the attack just yet. But you can see often guys defending to the left side in the second chicane, and there's a good reason for that. Because outside of cars, like maybe I saw it once with Lotus 79 last season, but not very often do you see somebody passing on the outside in the second chicane, and that's due to the nature of the corner. Yes, you get the inside on the second part of it, but you're just losing so much on the braking that it's not worth it. So that's gonna be something happening, especially in the last lap as they have a battle going on. Oh, Pfeffer actually slowing down a lot.
Oh, maybe a cut course penalty for Pfeffer? No, because he gets going immediately. That was bizarre. This could be a fuel thing, I wonder.
I was just about to say he's probably wanting to save fuel, letting maybe Gonzalez leading this back. Maybe Gonzalez is faster and he knows it. Maybe he's just content on running in the pack as Gonzalez is trying to get the lap times going, and you can see Gonzalez being aggressive. And the reason is they have another pack right ahead of them, Cal Guin, Utreras, and Rafael Russo. So getting in the back of that pack is not outside the realm of possibility. The gap between Russo and Gonzalez right now, it's just 1.8 seconds.
By the way, about 2 or 3 laps ago, we missed a change for the lead. Munoz almost looked like he slowed and let Asturi by, but not Acosta. There you can see the yellow and black number 16 is now our new leader, and Munoz is between them. We might have the replay. Let's see if this will tell us anything.
Okay, let's see. I think it's gonna be pretty much nip and tuck, you know. He was a sitting duck here in the lead, was Paulo Munoz, and look, he's just slowing down, letting pretty much Asturi into the lead, and now they are a pack of 3. And the reason for that, for the race leader, well, there's not much to talk about really. It's just fuel games, as you were saying earlier on. Fuel game is very important in Monza, and what Munoz is thinking, like, okay, I don't have the raw pace to run away. He tried it early on, so I better get into the pack with those guys and save fuel along with them. Let somebody else take the towing role. And most importantly, now Asturi has to be the one leading the pack. He has to be the one using more fuel. He's gonna be the one, you know, saving less fuel in the lead. And otherwise, Munoz will be just losing this lead with these 2 teammates just drafting him until pit stops.
Very interesting stuff. Some serious chess being played out on the track today among our leaders. Down farther back from the leaders, we've got a big old train. Kenny Rodriguez, Udahog, Hilton in there, Rimkus as well, and it looks like Nick is going to move to the inside down into Parabolica. He gets underneath them, but Rodriguez could have the over-under, but his momentum unfortunately halted by the Porsche in the way. And now it's going to be a drag race down the front stretch as well as behind them. Look at that. That's Hilton and Rimkus also
Too
going
deep,
side
too
by
wide.
side.
Yeah, too deep, too wide. It's kind of like a Talladega here. And let's see what happens into turn number 1.
And at first it looked like Nick had better braking, but then coming back at him, Rodriguez, wow, up to 21st in that 969. He's going to claim that spot at the head of the group, but how long will he hold that? They're now up to 5 drivers. J.R. Williams joins the fray.
And there was a tiniest bit of contact between Jason Rimkus and J.R. Williams. Nothing too noteworthy, but there was the accordion effect heading into the first chicane, and as a result of that, Williams just tapped the back of Jason Rimkus, so that's gonna be something that happens a lot here. And once we get more down into the tire wear, once we get into places like 15 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, then those tiny contacts may have drastic effects with how difficult the car gets to handle.
Don't need to go to it, but it seems there was a hardware issue for Ignacio Hortal because he slammed right into the tire barrier when it seemed the car would not stop. Not sure what exactly happened, but we'll try to cover that later. In the meantime, we stay with this little crew as they come out of Ascari. Rodriguez seems to be the quickest, though. He's pulling away.
Yeah, and Utehag just let Matt Hildon by, pretty much heading into Ascari. That seems to be the popular position. Whenever somebody gets a run, they just, they don't want to go too wide into Ascari, and that's a clever plan. Now, Rodriguez and Hilton are now leading this pack. Two Ferraris up top. Then it's Utehag, it's Rimkus, and it's J.R. Williams, as well as Stacey Donegan. Where did they come from? Look at Stacey Donegan. They've been up from the last place all the way to 26th and now looking to take even more positions as they are too deep, too wide again. Is Stacey gonna make it 3 wide? No, they're not. They're in fact gonna break very early as Utehag is gonna try and defend from Jason Rimkus and successfully does so. Again, a little bit of contact, and on the exit, Williams and Donegan side by side. Donegan trying it for the outside and onto the inside into Curva Grande, takes that position despite the best blocking efforts of J.R. Williams. Once again, into the second chicane, Jason Rimkus and Nick Uitehag.
Rimkus not quite going to have enough speed to challenge. He backs out of that. Elbows out for sure. Jason and Nick banging doors there through Rettifilio. They continue to do that. They're going to just lose more and more to both Hilton and Rodriguez, who seem to be peeling away from them. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kenny and Matt are teammates.
Well, their cars certainly look the same, so could be. Could very well be. I'm going to say they are. Say they are.
Back up towards the front. No change. Asturi leads Munoz, leads Acosta. They continue to pull away from Skurek, who is back and forth, 2.5 seconds between them. Skurek, though, is going to lose a position because Narciso is having a go at him now. Right now, there you see him on screen into Rettifilio. And Mateus makes it look easy, gets himself into fourth. Maybe he thinks he could run down those top three.
Maybe it's also Radicals guys, two guys in the Radicals livery, trying to help each other to get back into that lead pack. They're not too far back, mind you, but it's still, it's still early goings at Monza. It is still pretty much fuel saving. Rodrigo Mies as well in that second pack. So it's the lead back, and then you got the 3-car second pack, and then you got poor Michael Ross. He's all alone. He's like me at the school ball.
Michael Ross in 7th back there. Yeah, 6 seconds up to 6th place and 2.5 back to Cal Quinn. Now, Cal Quinn could still get into this, though. He could catch him, so I wouldn't say that he's going to be lonely forever. Meanwhile, worth noting that we are already down to 30 cars left. We've had 4 retirements. Strykars is definitely out. I'm seeing Acerbo, Brea, and Hortal in the pit lane. I do not know if they intend to try and return to the track.
Yeah, so 4 guys out of this race, potentially, and Liam Jenkins as well. He is coming close to being lapped, so a lot of victims here. Well, a lot. It's actually not that much when it comes to Monza. It's been a surprisingly clean first lap. And, if we had time, I would talk to you about the orange zone, but I'm not, because the leaders are getting mighty close once again. But nothing doing from Munoz. Look at him. He could be passing him each and every time, and he's not. And more importantly, he's not letting Asturi concede the lead of that. And it's drafting just like you want to draft in a long-distance running race, or in something like Tour de France, or in something like, cross-country skiing, for example. I know familiar topics for people at the North American viewer base, cross-country skiing, but it's the same idea and the same principle too. You're saving fuel, only that you're not saving your own energy, you are saving the energy of the car. And by that, you're just, every time you lift off the throttle a little bit earlier, and here's how it's done. You basically lift off the throttle 100 meters or 50 meters before the braking point, usually about 100 meters. And you lift off.
Oh, sorry, we've had an incident.
Later.
Gonzalez, and trying to figure out who the other driver is in here. Fabio Gonzalez is one of them. So he's already flashing his lights at him.
That's Ignacio Hortala as well.
Oh. Looks like we'll have to take another look at it, but man, Hortal just having a bad day.
I don't know what happened to him. Must be a technical issue, because Hortal was letting him through and no point really blocking him. He was just coming out of the pit lane, as a matter of fact, and then he just run straight through Fabio Gonzalez. Now, I
My,
also have other suspicions, but I'm not going to say anything about that yet before I check it out.
yes, well, I was going to say, to give him the benefit of the doubt, I know I felt like an idiot doing this myself before, but when he let the car by, he may have lost sight of his brake marker and just missed that and ran into the back of him afterwards. So there could be quite a few different explanations, but we won't know until we get to hear from the drivers themselves. As we watch the leaders, Munoz tucked right up underneath, and it is very clear at this point that the 3-2-1 is trying to save behind Bruno Asturi. This is going to be tough for Bruno to take victory number 2 with him punching the hole in the air for quite a few of the laps now.
Yeah, do you know what you do at this situation if you want to absolutely positively let the lead go?
Lift?
You miss your braking point in turn number 1 in the lead. You take a slowdown through the first chicane, and that means you're gonna have to let go of the lead, or you're slow enough through while you're running through the cutoff, the straight part of the old track, and then you just let another guy in the lead without losing your place in the draft.
Battle behind them has been raging on itself. In fact, I think they're gaining on them. Narciso he's pulling in Acosta. So Mateus is faster than those top 3, and he's bringing along Skorek and Mies of all people.
Yeah, because he's, what you want to do here is basically Asturi, Munoz, Acosta. They're like 3 drivers, but nobody wants to go. Nobody at this point is like, okay, I'm going to put the hot laps in. No, everybody's like watching their JRT or watching their whatever software they may be using for fuel calculations, and they're going to be like, no, I want to save more. I want that shorter pit stop. Meanwhile, Narciso is like, hey, if these guys are running so slowly, then I can maybe get in the draft. And Squirk is like, yeah, go ahead, please do. I'm in the draft. And then Rodrigo Mies is like, yeah, I have the fastest data in Chile. Woo!
The 88 is not out of it yet. Still looking for a win. In fact, I don't think he won all last season, didn't he? Mies, I want to say, is victoryless.
Yeah, he's winless.
That too. That would be an easier word to say. Rodrigo clinging in 6th is certainly trying to chase them down. In fact, those 2 trains of 3 up at the front aren't quite normal compared to the rest of the field. It seems like it's pairing off into 2s for everybody else. Russo and Calquin are together. I see Pime and Pfeffer together as well behind them. Right now we're looking at Calquin from the gearbox of Russo.
Yeah, and you can see him just pretty much, sitting nip and tuck. Russo got by him actually at the early point of this lap, so he's sitting in 8th place. Calquin is content sitting in 9th. Pime Jr. is sitting in 10th. And Pime is in a difficult position because he's too far back to get the draft of these guys and too far up front to really allow Pfeffer to catch him. And Pfeffer is just one guy, so he's not gonna wait for any other driver either. So, it is a difficult situation. But yeah, going back to Calquin and Russo, Rafa Russo, for me, is the real surprise of this race so far. Not only is he making the BMW fly, but he is also been very consistent throughout the race. I don't see him making any mistakes. And after the disappointment that was his home race at Interlagos, he's really en route to get some really solid points from here.
Up 2 positions from where he started. Pime Jr., by the way, is on a good roll, up from 15th to 10th. And I think Skorek is going to lose a spot because it looks like...
No, he's gaining one.
Yeah, you're right. That was Narciso, who is going to be demoted down to 5th place. As Skorek now leads the way. He thinks he could take this quicker. He's got a 2.5 seconds to make up to Abner Acosta, who himself is... Wow, he's lost the top 2 by a big margin, 1.7 seconds.
Yeah, and also to clarify, Narciso, you see those cars being pretty much similar, Narciso and Squirrel, but they are in fact in different teams under the Radicals Online umbrella. So Narciso is racing for the Radicals Online Turn Racing, whereas you see Donny Skurk racing for the Radicals Online Track Racer team. So it's not quite teammates, but close enough. It's kind of like Ferrari and Haas.
We call them sister teams here. over in the States. We watch from the number 88 looking over the driver's side. Ooh, and closing in right up to the back. Skwerek almost getting rear-ended by Narciso that time into Ascari. Gotta be careful here. We still got half the race to go.
Yeah, and they are pretty racy because from what I know that last time by, if it was just, cooperation, which is what they should be absolutely doing at this point in the race, mind you. And another note, by the way, Acosta has lost 2 seconds to the pack ahead, just something I should note. But yeah, if they were just, doing cooperation and fuel saving, then Narciso would have lifted way before the first corner, but he did not. And let's see if Skwerek will allow Narciso through easily. No, in fact, Skwerek is not going to allow him through at all because Narciso's lifting. So they have their own agenda here. They may be cooperating in the same pack, but they're not doing it as efficiently as they should. And that is something I see a lot of people making mistakes in. More on that later before I get another 1-minute rant interrupted by actually interesting things.
34 minutes left to go. And 1.6 seconds up to Abner Acosta. How quickly, or can they actually catch the multi-time champion here and make it a 4-car little pack in the second group, trying to chase down the lead duo, which continue to stay together, separated by about 0.7 of a second. Still a Sturry up at the front, Munoz following, assumably saving fuel. And speaking of interesting things happening, Udahog, I think, is off track with Kenny Rodriguez. This is in Retafilio, down around 24th position. I think Kenny might be the one to blame for this one.
Oh. Okay. Let's see what happened here. So, coming to turn number 1, you see Kenny going for the pass very late into turn number 1, and yeah. Udahog turning in the corner, and then Kenny just, spinning him around, going for a late move. And that's the problem I was talking about in the last race. That, for Kenny Rodriguez, is doing an aggressive move in a passive style. And when you do an aggressive move in the passive style, you're not being predictable.
And why was he off again? That was Dunnigan, by the way, who narrowly avoided him in the replay through Retafilio. So not sure what happened with the Pennsylvania driver as we came back live. And just hearing some word from Nick that he has got damage since the start that is affecting his pace, it seems. So Udahog not having the most fun of days here in Italy.
I'm gonna tell you what happened to Kenny Rodriguez, by the way. No need to go to it, but he just spun on the second chicane by hitting the curb a little bit too much. But yeah, we are here on P number 8, and hopefully this will be a little bit cleaner.
Another note, again, let's stay here, that Mies lost the draft with Skwerek and Narciso. He's 2.3 seconds behind. He must have had a slowdown penalty or a mistake somewhere. So
Yep, he went... So first chicane, he cut it a little bit too much. He went over half a car length to the inside on the second part of the first chicane, and then he just had to slow down, and he was already lost in that pack, so he lost the draft. And now it's gonna be a fighting battle for Rodrigo Mies to get back into that also crucial draft. And I think Skwerek and Narciso, if they're being smart about this, they're just gonna run away with it right now. They do not want to let Rodrigo Mies back in that pack, whereas Mies is hoping and praying that, please guys, start battling, do something, I want to catch you up.
Now we're looking back at the group of Russo leading Calquin and Pime Jr. All still fighting for 8th place down into Parabolica, just about at the halfway mark. Next time by will be halfway for the race, and I saw a couple drivers come in for stops, and I think some of them were scheduled. Nunn and Rodriguez, I do believe, have been in and out for their fuel. They have no fast repairs in this series, so if anybody does come in for damage, we will know it.
And let's go to Ted Londick and Kristen Eisler, who are still very close as well. And you can see here on the main straight, Londick trying to catch up to Kristen Eisler, but nothing doing there. However, they are very close, and of note it should be that they are still in the same positions where they have been pretty much since the first couple of laps, but right ahead of them they got Espinosa and they got Javi Utreras as well. So, you know, if Eisler and Lowendick can pick up the pace just a little bit, they have a chance to catch up. But guys are doing a rather good pace so far.
The number 45 has pitted. I don't know if it's scheduled. Yes, it is scheduled. He is back out in 22 seconds, just a slightly slow stop. Rimkus also still taking his service, and the number 99 back there in the background. There he is. The Northwest driver should be out and done. And indeed, it's a decent stop at 21.8 seconds. A little slow, but good enough.
Yeah, and Horacio Calguin here further back. Let's see what's going on with him. He's right ahead of Luis Pime Jr., with Rafa Russo actually running a bit away from him.
Yeah, I think Pime might have had a little bit of a look at it down into Ascari, but decided better of it as they come through. Will either of them elect to split it halfway here? It's not usually been the best strategy in this series, but some of the back markers, well, can't really call ninth place a back marker, though. Sometimes we'll try risky things, and none of them willing to come in this time by. They're all going to stay out, still trailing behind the 22 of Russo.
Joe, can I get on the board last lap times? Because I have a point to make, and that is a point about the leading trio of Bruno Asturi, of Paulo Munoz, and of Abner Acosta, and the fourth place driver of Don Skirk. Because Kirk was, I don't know how to pronounce that name, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna call him Don. So anyway, Don was over a second faster last time by than the guys ahead of in the leading duo, because Asturi and Munoz are all the time playing cat and mouse with Asturi trying to let Munoz pass and Munoz having none of it, and they're gonna allow Acosta right back into the pack, and they're gonna allow Skirk to join in soon if they're not careful. As well as Narciso.
Yeah, Acosta has already chopped it down to 1 second. You have to wonder, though, is the story not having anything with it because of the fuel, or is he trying to back Munoz up into Acosta?
Let's go and listen in to Asturi coming into Parabolica, on board with him, and listen in. No, I don't hear him lifting early at all. And he's not lifting through here, but it's gonna be very interesting to hear. Oh, he's coming in the pit. Astor, no, he's not. Oh, he faked it. Oh, you don't usually see that on road courses.
No. Playing some games. This is
Do that on Interlagos. Do that on Interlagos. I dare you.
Yeah, I think one of the not top 10 videos once had someone that did that, and he ran into the pit entry wall. So
yeah,
got to watch out for that. Cal Quinn, though, one of our front runners in the top 10, looks like he is pitting. Horatio takes the 666 down the lane. I think Pfeffer and Espinosa were relatively close to him. They have already taken their stops, so this might be close between those two drivers.
Yeah, and Uribe as well. Pablo Uribe is pitting from P18 also, so another thing of note. So Calguin and Uribe into the pit lane, and this is where it's gonna start. This is where we are really going to see the race kick off. And the best thing about it, once the pit stops are done at Monza, we will see who is gaining, who is losing over the course of the ever so essential pit stops in this fast track. And more importantly, we don't have to watch drivers play mind games with the fuel anymore. It's always interesting, don't get me wrong, but I prefer good, raw, hard racing.
By the way, Cal Quinn, lightning fast stop. He must have been saving fuel behind somebody, because the 666 so far has the fastest scheduled stop, barring Jenkins, in the number 21. And Jenkins is way far back. So Cal Quinn is now our highest pitter. Pfeffer's back out behind him by about 4 seconds or so. Up at the very front, Asturi ahead of Munoz. And is he doing it again? No, he's actually coming in. This one's for real.
Yeah, and he had to pit at least one lap earlier than the guys in front of him. Now I'm gonna just see if his pit stop was alright. Pit speed limit, 64 km an hour. And yeah, well done for Bruno Asturi.
That's Skirk and Narciso behind him as well. So 2 more of the top 5 down for their scheduled stops. Munoz continues. Acosta, Mies, Pime. Who else? Utreras. Looks like he's going to keep going.
And how was Rodrigo Mies able to save one more lap? He was running in the back of that duo, yes, but he also had to run the last few laps all by himself. He ran low 46s all by himself and still had enough fuel in the tank. So Rodrigo Mies, as a result of that, might be catching up to the duo that was ahead of him. Now, it's gonna be very interesting. What can the leaders do here? Paulo Munoz, he needs a lightning fast lap right now. Abner Costa as well, but they have some traffic ahead of them. They have Jason Riemkus and Matt Hilton, and this is for position.
Now Quinn cycles back up the field. Now that many of the drivers have stopped from around him, we're waiting on 7 different cars to come into pit. Mies must be really light on that right foot, unless he's cutting it too close and he's going to be sputtering down into his pit stall.
Yeah, but
He's
look
the
at
one in the
Munoz
background
now.
there.
Yeah, look at Munoz now. He's coming into traffic at Parabolica. Now he's not losing too much if he's speeding this time by, but that was really close and really risky. And he must have seen that on his relative. Now he's coming into the pit lane. He's braking early enough. So is Acosta. And actually Munoz was cutting it very tight with the pit entry. So I wonder, is he gonna get a penalty? Not really. He was doing 70 on the line. Okay, 64. That's within the threshold, because this is not Formula 1 and we're not being ridiculous here. But you know, Munoz was really taking risk with that one, and I want to see his pit stop time. Is Acosta still going to be right with him? And more importantly, Rodrigo Mies, can he get a jump on the guys he was battling with earlier?
So as we watch Mies, the story is coming out of Parabolica right now. Acosta is out before Munoz.
Asturias at a full head of steam. He's gonna come very fast. He's gonna pass them both.
Oh, by how much? Actually, yeah, you're right. By a significant margin, he might be out of the slipstream. Acosta, with a 2-second faster stop than Munoz, jumps him in the pit lane, but now he's got to deal with the slipstream that he is handing over to the 3-2-1 car.
Yeah, and also update from Rodrigo Mies. He's returning pretty much where he left off, behind Narciso, behind Squirk as well, and he's about 2 seconds back on them, 1.5, 2 seconds back, so he has a lot of work to do, but the good thing for him is that we still have 23 minutes left in this race. But yeah, the lead battle, this could get interesting. Now Asturi, he's all by himself, all alone up front. He's got 2 drivers drafting each other behind him, but here's the thing. Is Acosta gonna help Asturi win this race? If he is, he has the perfect opportunity right now. Is he gonna be a team player?
Well, at this point, there's not much that he can do to stop him from winning, I think, because even if he worked with Munoz, it seems that Asturi's got fantastic pace while he was out on his own, gapping both of these drivers. Acosta still about 0.4 of a second ahead of Munoz. And Narciso, who, by the way, we talked about that battle quite a bit, and then we didn't cover it after the pit stops much. Narciso and Skorek still together for 4th and 5th place, just off the podium. They're 4 seconds off, so I think they lost time in that pit sequence to these two.
Well, also this is an unconfirmed report, but this man has his own onboard stream, so it's pretty much confirmed. Let's get back to it later, because Munoz very close to Acosta and getting by on the outside, and doesn't manage to turn it into turn number 1. He's gonna run very wide with the 3-2-1. Acosta's gonna have a run on him once again. Oh, that was dirty. Munoz, no, you can't do that. You can't close the door like that. And that was very close to a disaster as a result of that. And Joe, this could get spicy into the second chicane.
Already looked like he was being squeezed down on the pit straight there. So how feisty is it going to get? Looks like Munoz is going to be able to sneak through and take 2nd place back. Acosta behind him. Does he get his elbows out after that move? All this fighting has allowed Asturi to scamper away up to 2.8 seconds now. And Narciso caught them by a whole second. It's down to 3 seconds behind them.
Yeah, and there was no real reason for Munoz to do that. I mean, Acosta was defended inside. Fair enough. Then Munoz just ran right to the side of him as if he was trying to intimidate him. He ran wide into turn number 1, and then he kind of just turned a little bit into Acosta. I don't know if he was thinking that, Acosta's gonna defend his teammate, defend the lead of his teammates, and he thought of him as some sort of an enemy or something. But that was really aggressive for no real reason. Maybe there's something we missed earlier on in the race or something, but that was not a normal racing move.
Not some drivers that are working their way up the field and are hard chargers. Michael Ross is up from 12th to 7th currently. Not a there is. They're going to get another pass between second and third to the outside. Here goes Acosta. That's where we saw Munoz before.
That's too late on the brakes, Munoz.
Oh, he's shallow just like last time for the over-under, and he can't get it off the corner. Abner has to sit behind. He's going to get another tow as they come up through the Curva Grande. And interesting that already Munoz covering off that left-hand side.
Yep.
So make sure that he holds the easiest line, or the best line rather, down into De La Roja.
But once again, what he's doing here, the mistake of Munoz, if there's gonna be an undoing for him, it is that he is being lazy defending that lane. You can see his car in the middle of the track, and you would think, okay, that's normal, because at Curva Grande you're running through there, you don't want to run right to the outside, that's fair enough. But Acosta, if he's being a thinking man, if he's being smart about this, he sees that there is a car width and a half to the inside coming into that corner if he chooses to do so. And if he chooses to dive in there is absolutely nothing Munoz can do about it, because it's already too late once he makes the change. And we've seen that a couple of times, once you change lanes at the last time and you sell the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and then you change the lanes at the last moment, that is perfectly fine. As long as you don't hit the other driver, that is perfectly fine. And I think that's something of a possibility that Acosta is at least considering here, as it looks like this battle with Paulo Munoz is going to last until the end of this race.
You fans of Ted Lowendick, he had a self-spin in the first Lesmo. He lost a number of positions with that, but didn't hit anything. They take the tow up the front stretch and go on by Lopez Torres. It'll stay in position. Munoz second, Acosta in third. Narciso, who was gaining hand over fist with all that fighting, seems to be losing again. It's back up to 2.8 seconds. Himself and Squirek have been holding on to one another. They have certainly dropped Mies. Well, no, how they dropped Mies? Is Mies regaining on them? It's 1.3 seconds now, it looks like.
Yeah, Mies, last time by, he was 1/10 faster than Squirek and 3/10 faster, crucially, than Narciso. And he is the man we should really be comparing to, because Narciso is the leader of this pack, and he is going to be the one dictating the pace, at least so far. So we're going to see Mies in a bit of a charge here from here on out until the end of this race, and he has got decent pace. So I wonder if Mies can still make a bit of a miracle here. Now, one thing that's gonna hurt Rodrigo Mies a little bit is that on the right-hand side of the back of his car, after those first lap incidents, he has a bit of damage, and the diffuser on the back of his Ferrari is a little bit bent up, and he's nursing that damage, and despite the damage, he's still running such lap times. So, another race for Rodrigo Mies where I can't help but wonder what could have been.
The wasted potential, unfortunately, in a number of races that we've seen from Mies, but eventually a win could be coming. We had another spin for Lowendick. I wonder if he's got some damage that car is ill handling. This is weird that he's had within two laps, all on his own. Meanwhile, for 9th place, Cal Quinn is trying to fend off Pime, and Pime's to the inside with a great exit off of Parabolica, and he's already ahead. He might not actually want that position because Cal Quinn is going to get a nice little tow down the front stretch. And nope, he elects to go behind.
Yeah, and he knows that this is pretty much their battle. And they got a lap car behind them, then they got Basigalubo a couple of seconds back. So the last thing Cal Quinn wants right now is a long battle. He elects to wait it out, and I don't think that's a bad plan. If he's happy with the pace Luis Pime Jr. is doing, then hey, why not? You know what I want? I want the pace. I want to place a solar panel next to the car of Louis Pime Jr. and then wonder how much electricity I would be making just off the reflection. Because that car is shiny.
Really is. As Calquin stays behind, working their way through the first Lesmo. Bacigalupo and Pfeffer not far back. You can see just a string of Ferraris here in the mid-pack. This is one of the longer straights, one of the more unassuming straights heading down to the braking for Ascari. Been looking a little too far behind though for this attempt.
Yeah, he is. And, Calguin, I'm just glad that he's running in the top 10, that he's having a clean race, and it seems to be a solid race for him. He started 8th, he's running in the top 10, he's probably gonna stay, well, he has a chance of staying in top 10. And meanwhile, further ahead, Munoz and Costa once again going at it.
Yeah, this time an attack from Acosta as he had a good run, but Munoz's defense down to the inside will keep him at bay. This one didn't seem as aggressive as the ones we saw before out of Paulo. He just kind of, well, almost to counter what you were talking about half-hearted attacks. It was a half-hearted defense from him.
Yeah, indeed. And meanwhile, further back behind them as well, Skudak just went past his rival Narciso. And I wonder what those guys are thinking, right now. Here in the 4th and 5th, maybe, maybe there's a podium in for the taking. There's chances to be had, and there's chances and opportunities towards the end of this race. We still have 14 minutes left, but that's also another battle that's going to be probably brewing on until the end of this race if they choose to have a battle. It's all about choices. Do they want to try? Do they want to commit or see if they, wanna maybe have a chance to catching up to the Munoz Acosta battle, because they must have heard or they must have seen in the distance that, hey, those guys are swapping places. They're getting aggressive, but they're still 4 seconds ahead. So under normal driving, there's no way they're gonna catch up to them. But maybe if they, don't battle themselves, but instead wait it out a little bit, maybe there are chances for the taking if something happens between Munoz and Acosta. I'm not talking about, a major accident. I'm talking about a minor incident, 2 cars running a little bit wide, running, say, 3 corners in one lap side by side. You're going to lose second, 2, maybe 3, and suddenly you got those guys right up in your tailpipes.
All right, so what are we going to see this time, though? Oh, he's gaining, and he's going to look to the inside. Late defense there from Paulo Munoz. Holds him back. Acosta. I wonder if Acosta is just simply experimenting here, kind of poking and prodding and see what does what.
Yeah, and that could very well be as we jump onto this train in P number 9 with... is that Bacigalupo in P number 9?
Is.
Yeah, Louis Pime Jr.
He got by both of them not long ago.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, Bacigalupo. So, Bacigalupo, Louis Pime Jr., Jose Calquin, and Christopher Pfeffer. That could be a very interesting one until the end of this race. Bacigalupo may be gonna run away from them, but Pime Jr., Calquin, Pfeffer for the 10th place. I say bring it on. But yeah, going back to the earlier point, sorry to interrupt you, Tercho, a little bit, but going back to earlier point, experimenting, that's exactly what you want to do if you're in the position of Abner Acosta. You're going to want to see how he reacts to what you do. You want to prod, touch a little bit there, a little bit here, just fake it to the inside, see how aggressively he drives. And by now, Abner Acosta is probably coming to a conclusion that Paulo Munoz is what we call a mirror driver. He's mirroring what you do. He's driving from his mirrors a little bit, Whenever you move to the inside, he blocks you off. And with those kind of guys, you need a game plan. And that game plan is not just, send it to the inside. You can't catch them pants down when they're already defending the inside line. No, you gotta trick them. And there are multiple ways of tricking them. You can do a crossover to the exit of the corner. Not many places in Monza where you can do that, but you can maybe experiment with the idea in the chicane that you fool the guy into braking too late. Or what you do, or you can do something that is quite risky and will only work once, which is you fake it to the outside, and then right before you're alongside, you switch the lanes to the inside if the guy is defending the middle of the track, if he's being lazy about the defense, and then you move to the inside. it's a risky because you run a risk of running into the back of him. It's also risky because you do a late move and you might miss your braking spot. But if it works out, it's a very decisive move. And even if it doesn't work out, now you're gonna be forcing the guy, to defend it all the way and compromising his line into the corner. So he has options here. But which one is he gonna pick? That we don't know. And that's why we watch this live.
He certainly doesn't want to finish in third because he's already losing points to his teammate, who's his main rival in the championship for now. He closes in, but he doesn't go for anything down in Ascari. They certainly aren't looking like they've got an opportunity to try and take the win. Ascari is about 2.5 seconds ahead. And they've got 4.1 back to Squirrek. 10 minutes left to go. That could still be whittled down depending on how hard they fight and win, but we've seen a smart drive from Acosta. He knows how to win championships. He knows how to win races in the PRL GTE Sports Car Series. Both of them taking it right up to the edge of the track in Parabolica and back down the front stretch. What's he do this time? Ahead of him, Munoz just letting it drift all the way across. And another tiny little look. Not a big one, though. And they come upon traffic. This is Jenkins up in front of them.
Now, I got a point about Liam Jenkins. There was a question, actually, from our viewers, our wonderful viewers. They were asking if we are aware, if the commentators are aware that Liam Jenkins, his wheel disconnected after his spin. And I must say, we are not. This is unconfirmed information, mind you. But that would explain why Liam Jenkins lost so much time in the opening laps and why he's speeding for the second time and still having some difficulties.
That's a fair point. Man, that is not fun for him.
Formula One driver, actually a Formula One world champion, whose steering wheel came off in his first Formula One race.
Really?
And it was on American soil.
Oh, jeez. How long ago was this then?
About when I was born.
Interesting. I was going to say, I've seen footage of Nico Rosberg in the lower formulas detaching his wheel while he was on the racetrack and then putting it back on to reset it. And that's some bravery right there.
Yeah, it is. But we're gonna get back to it soon. That's also a viewer question, because why not? We can do viewer questions. We're gonna come back to that soon. But yeah, Joe, meanwhile, this is a very interesting situation between Munoz and Acosta, and I can't get over it. I know we got battles elsewhere on the track as well. We got the Skirk and Narciso duo, and then, we have other things going on further back. We actually got Javi Utreras and Christian Eisler. We might jump to that, We might jump to that because Eisler is 14th and Utreras is 13th. And I distinctly remember that being the other way around not too long ago. Or maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, I can tell you that at least from the start of the race, Utreras is up 1 and Eisler is up 2. I'm sure he would like to return Utreras back to where he began and would like to get up 3 spots in this race. Not totally in the slipstream there for a bit behind that 4. Now as they drift across, he pulls in behind him. Way too far back to dive it in here as half a second splits this pair.
Yeah.
They break it down into the Redifilio chicane, and Utreras still holds on.
Yeah, and the thing is, why is Utreras there? Why was I confused earlier? Because Utreras, last time by, he made a mistake in the second chicane. He ran wide, and Eisler had a chance to the inside of the first Lesmo, but nothing doing there. So, last time by, Utreras made a mistake, and that's why Eisler is where he is, and that's why Javi Utreras has lost a couple of seconds to the drivers ahead, like Christopher Pfeffer, Horacio Calguin, as well as Louis Palm Jr.
Now here's an impressive little tidbit that I just noticed about what's going on in this race. We still have 24 drivers on the lead lap. I know I said it is a long lap, but that's pretty impressive considering how quick the leaders have been, that that many cars are still racing on the same lap as them, and we've only got 6 minutes to go.
Now, 6 minutes to go. I'm gonna need to do some maths. That's 2 tenths per lap and 1.7 seconds. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Munoz trying to catch a Sturry?
Yes. And it's interesting, Asturi is faster. And I'm sorry, Munoz is faster towards the end of this race. But I don't think he is fast enough. However, he does have the draft coming in not too long, and Acosta doesn't seem to have the pace to put the challenge to Asturi. So here's the lap comparison as well, Joe.
Yeah, wow. He was slower on every lap but one in these last five. I have to wonder, Asturi, 16-second stop, and he was up at the front of this group, was he not?
Yeah.
So did he short fuel a little too much? Is he having to save a bit? And this could be what's allowing Paulo to start to close the gap, because Asturi is starting to feel the pressure to try and just get to the end of this thing.
Yeah, he is lifting a little bit early to my liking in his car. It could be that, old tires, that he is just, coming a little bit, tentatively onto the brakes. I don't think he's actually lifting too much, saving too much fuel. But, there is a little bit of, tentativeness coming into the braking. But more importantly, I think Asturi's tires might be, protesting a little bit much. But the interesting thing is, once he gets within 1.5 seconds, within 1 second, if he can make up that gap a little bit more, Paulo Munoz, he is going to be in the draft range. And
Here we
he
go.
has the Ferrari, but here's Acosta right behind him.
And this is one of the best runs we've seen in a while from him. In fact, he's going to pull fully alongside. Is this going to be a serious attempt? It looks like it. He's making sure that Munoz is going to have to work for it. Doesn't quite pull it off, but now he is applying the pressure on that 3-2-1.
Yeah, he is, and that's his teammate as well, in the lead of this race. I don't know how much the level racing guys actually, think about such things, Bruno Asturi and Abner Acosta, but still, it could be a factor. And meanwhile, I think Asturi is losing just a touch of time behind Ken Rodriguez here.
Yeah, this is not good timing. This is a little bit more of a difficult space to get by lap traffic. A big slide through the first Lesmo from Asturi that time.
Yeah, and look at Asturi. He's getting a good run, and he's now to the inside of Rodriguez, and this is going to be a slam dunk. But he lost a bit of time in the Lesmos, and you can see the comparison. They're once again 1.5 seconds behind him, whereas Munoz and Acosta lost a bit of time in their turn one tussle. But right now, they're once again gaining a bit of time. Now, is Munoz going to get a run to Rodriguez here? He's going to get a draft here to the penultimate straight. Then he's going to follow through to Parabolica, and he's going to get a full straight run all the way to start finish straight, and that is going to be a good thing for him. Now, it's not going to be like he's going to catch up the entire, gap. I don't think Munoz is going to catch him, not on raw pace, but that's going to help him at least.
2 laps to go at the line. If they're going to make a move, they got to make it soon. Rodriguez, is he going to let them through? He's definitely giving a toe to Munoz. And that, of course, gets extended to Acosta. He's not letting them by, though. This could play an interesting role in this race. And he's definitely holding up Munoz through the corner, who is much quicker. He pulls out of the way.
No, he wasn't holding too much to the first chicane. You can see it, the gap is actually not that big. And I was looking at the gap, and it was coming a little bit down all the way through. But yeah, it's you're right. I think Ken Rodriguez should have let them by on the main straight.
Now he's out of the way, so it is a moot point from here. Oh, and Bacigalupo just made contact with Russo.
And Asturi made a mistake from the lead. And that means Abner Acosta is currently in the lead. Asturi made a mistake on the second chicane. Here we're going to get a replay of that one. We're going to see Russo first. That's Asivaluga and Russo getting contact through the first chicane. But then I want to see the next bit. I want to see what Bruno Asturi did on the second chicane, because he was way too hot exiting it, Joe.
I got to back up just a little bit. The second chicane is where this happened. Here we go. This is a story. He's coming in first place.
He's going to run wide on the exit. You can see it here. Bouncing across the curb. Going to run wide on the exit. Just had to save it, and that was a good save. But here you can see both Paulo Munoz and Abner Acosta getting through. And now we got a race on our hands, Joe, with 1 lap to go.
Yeah, but those level motorsports drivers have got to be kicking themselves. They could have had the victory here, and now it's going to be stolen away when the chances were in favor at 2-3. But Munoz, with his speed and his great defense on Acosta, is sitting pretty. One last lap. Is the slipstream enough for the number 5 to try and attack? That was going to be his best chance right there down into Rettifilio. From there on out, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Let's see if he can get anything here. I don't think he is close enough right now. He has got to hustle. This is not looking good.
Not at all for Acosta. He was cutting a little bit too much on the exit of the first chicane. What can he do here, though? In the prime points of the Ford, coming into the Lesmos here, second chicane. Oh, look how aggressive Acosta is. He's bouncing all over the curb, and that means he's going to be right behind him into the Lesmos. Now, get a good exit from Lesmo too, and maybe you get a chance into Ascari to at least harass him. That's not an easy place to pass, but it's the last lap, and if you want to win, you must do it now. And in the hometown of Ferrari, or at least in front of the home crowd show, what a way for Acosta to challenge him.
Oh, he's going to have to go the long way around to the first apex as he tries to attack down into Ascari. He backs off a little early, though. Is he setting himself up for the exit? What will the virtual Tifosi have to cheer for? A first or a second today? Paulo Munoz is ahead, and he's holding the inside. Acosta's got the slipstream. He's pulling up to the back of him. Finally comes back to the racing line. Munoz drifting back, going defensive. And over-under is the last hope for Abner Acosta to try and steal this victory away. He looks for it, but the car stays to the inside. That Ferrari is going to hold him off all the way to the line. Paulo Munoz stole the win. Unbelievable.
Wow, and
Asturi's out of fuel.
Yeah, Asturi's out of fuel. He's rolling over the line in 5th place, so Skurk and Narciso both get past him.
That's what happened with Asturi. I think he was trying so hard to save, he must have messed up that corner. And he sputtered across the line.
Yeah, and Cal Gwyn as well. He is now sitting 10th, Rafa Russo 11th, so there is no battle there. But behind them, Utreras and Christian Eisler, they're going to be mighty close. I don't think Eisler's close enough.
Too. Bacigalupo finished in pit lane. I'm not sure what he's doing there. So
probably, chilling, relaxing.
Yeah, apparently. Eisler wound up 13th after all was said and done. A nice climb for him, though he was behind Utreras at the line. And then from there, it looks like all of our battles are pretty much done. It was 1/10 of a second at the finish. Abner Acosta trailing behind Munoz. That is incredibly tight. And this is looking like a good season is coming our way. We're going to give you the unofficial results as well as driver interviews in just a moment. But stick around, because if you watch on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Back to Monza. It was a close one in the end. The top 3 were fighting it out for the victory all the way to the line. One of them, though, did not make the podium even. Paulo Munoz was our winner, with Abner Acosta only a 10th back when they crossed that finish line. And then Don Squirek wound up in 3rd. Mateus Narciso gets promoted to 4th. because Bruno Asturi, who sputtered into fifth place, ran out of fuel, cut it a little bit too tight for his liking. Rodrigo Mies was behind him in sixth place, and Michael Ross stayed in seventh, where I mentioned him before, climbing up from 12th position. Even better for Luis Pime. He was from 15th to 8th. You've got ninth for Horatio Calquin, and Rafael Russo with a late race issue falls down to 10th.
Javier Treras finishing 11th, ahead of Christian Eisler, who was 12th, Andres Espinosa 13th, and Anderson Schmidt 14th from 18th and 21st, those guys respectively. Christopher Pfeffer the other way around from 9th to 15th, then Pablo Uribe 25th to 16th, Lucas Basigalubo 17th, Stacy Dunnigan 18th, Eduardo Gak 19th, and J.R. Williams rounding out your top 20.
21st went to Ted Lowendick, the last car on the lead lap. Kenny Rodriguez behind him in 22nd with Matt Hilton in 23rd. James Nunn was P24 today. Nick Udhag, we saw him have some problems. He was 25th with Lopez Torres 26th, Stevenson 27th, and Rimkus 28th. Then the last car to finish today was Jenkins down in 29th, fighting through the disconnected wheel. We have our winner ready to talk to us. It is Paulo Munoz. And Paulo, man, what a finish that was. You have to be at least a little bit shocked that you suddenly won when coming into the final lap, you or like should say 2 laps to go, you were in second place.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, hi guys. Yeah, it's just I knew I was catching him, but then the mistake came, and I was so stoked.
So tell us about the battle at the end, though, with Acosta going on multiple laps after that pit stop. It seemed like you were playing a robust defense. I didn't see anything untoward of what you were doing, but certainly doing what you could to keep him behind you. Was he making you sweat, or did you feel pretty good about your chances of holding him back?
No, he was giving it all. I mean, Amner's a great friend of mine, so I was hard, but not overly aggressive, I think. He's a very good driver, so he has everything needed to pass another car. But I think he was just playing the team game. He was just trying to slow me down so I didn't catch Bruno, you know. Well, in the end, I still won, so.
And that's where the points come from, right? So that was a bit better of a race, I'd say, than what you experienced at Interlagos, even though that was wasn't a bad one. You qualified 9th before, and then this time you put it on the pole, and then of course the victory compared to your 5th place. I mean, what does that tell you for the rest of the season? Is this an outlier with it being Monza, or do you think you can keep this form up?
Hopefully I can. I mean, I definitely have some better tracks than others. I know I'm way better at Monza than at Interlagos, and also due to how the race played out in Interlagos, I wasn't able to stay with the guys ahead. But hopefully I can keep this form up. I mean, Watkins is gonna be tough, but for the next ones, I think it's gonna be tight. It's a strong field.
Well, the RSR esports team, of course, gets a nice little boost in the team points. Who is your teammate, actually, that you are working with, and how did they fare today? Is there anything on the cards for you guys in the teams championship potentially?
That was the idea when we signed up. We want to win the teams championship. Of course, I want to win the drivers championship, but the goal is to win the teams championship. I'm working with Christopher Pfeffer and Ignacio Hortal. I know they didn't have a very good race in Interlagos, and I think the same thing happened today again. But hopefully we can keep up breaking those points in the coming races.
Yeah, Pfeffer was mid-pack today with a 15th, and Hortal coming home in 31st, sadly, with a retirement. Still, congratulations on the victory. I guess you could say you did your part, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you in a week's time.
Thank you very much, guys.
Paulo Munoz, our winner here today. Up next, I believe Ossian has caught up with Abner Acosta, who tried to fight it all the way to the checkers.
Abner, first of all, welcome and congratulations for the second place, and 10 secondly commiserations for the fact fact that it wasn't a first place. That was a tight battle with Paulo Munoz. Joe just talked to him earlier on, saying that you guys are great friends. Now, Abner, are you still great friends after that race?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're really good buddies. So I was, I also had to defend. I also had to protect Bruno from him because he was really fast. But I was also trying, not to hit him. And at the end, I had 10 X's, and if I did hit him, I would get DQ'd. So I was trying to be as clean as possible. But yeah, no, we're still good buddies.
Okay, good. So that went on for a long time, but early on, was it planned within the team that Bruno was going to be the so-called, the hare or the rabbit of the team, setting the pace, and then you were maybe going to, save a little bit more fuel, or were you planning on alternating, or what happened early on? Because it seemed quite interesting how that turned out.
Yeah, I just think Bruno didn't get a really good qual lap, but I struggled all week. I couldn't. I don't know what it is. Monza's usually a pretty fun track for me, but with the Ford, I just couldn't find pace. So we knew that Bruno was definitely a lot faster than me, and he showed that at the beginning. He just caught up to me. So yeah, I did let him go at that point, not to hold him up, for us to catch Paulo, which we did. And then I think he underfueled. So at the end, he was at the last 10 laps or so, or 12. He was trying to save while keeping the pace, and I think he also made a mistake. But at the end, I think he ran out of fuel still. So just a mistake on his part.
Yeah, he made a mistake on the second chicane on the penultimate lap. But how? When did he inform you that he was potentially going to run out of fuel, or at least saving? Did you know all the way through last 10 or 12 laps that, hey, you might have a chance for the win here?
We knew as soon as we come out of the boxes, he definitely let me know for the last 11 laps that he was running out and that he might need to save. So he was saving throughout that whole time. And then my plan, being third place, and I was trying to basically hold up Paolo as much as I could. Obviously, if I can win it, I'm going for it, but I did not have the pace. I was trying to fight Paolo to pass him, and also to hold him off for Bruno to save enough. And we were tag teaming on him. That's how team racing goes. So unfortunately, that did not work out at the end there.
Yeah, no, but you got plenty of chances to practice that all throughout this 10 race season. Watkins Glen, how's the track for you?
So Watkins Glen is really good with the Fords. I think this is definitely a Ferrari track. So I know we're definitely gonna be out of the 3 tracks. The next one is the strongest for the Ford. So I know we'll be really fast. So I'm sure we'll do okay.
Okay, thank you, Abner, and good luck for your next race.
All right, you guys. Thank you for hosting, and thank you everybody and my team, Level Motorsports. Thank you. Bye.
So that was Abner Acosta, and next up we have Joe Peak talking to the driver who found himself on the final step of the podium.
Absolutely. But before we get to the end of the race, Don, let's talk about the start. That first corner. Are you kicking yourself at
yeah.
all?
yeah. I was excited, starting third, best start of the season, and then I immediately lock up. But wanted to make sure, I didn't come in, collect somebody else, and ruin the race for a lot of the other people. So I just ran off, took the slow down, and then found myself right behind Mateus, and we had a nice little bit of teamwork there.
Absolutely. It's honestly impressive that you were only about 6 seconds behind the leaders at the end, considering a lap 1 slowdown is usually horribly destructive to a race. Without that, do you think you could have been fighting with those top 3? Could you see them up there and see what they were doing?
Oh, yeah. That first stint, we were within about 4 seconds of the leader. I think it was Abner kind of lost the pack a little bit, and we were catching him. So there was potential there. I think if it weren't for that, I could have been up there with that group. I went a little bit aggressive on the fueling, just to make sure that the same issue that happened to Bruno didn't happen to myself.
Yeah, that is always embarrassing, coming to the line and losing spots that way. Still, his loss is your gain. The good news is you're heading to Watkins Glen next week. Do you see yourself taking any of those fuel-saving lessons and applying them over in New York?
Actually, that's one of the things I need to work on. I need to do a little bit better at fuel saving, so that way I don't spend so much time in the pit lane. And I think if I can work on that, I think I'll be in a much better position.
Well, we look forward to seeing how you fare there. A nice podium today. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you at the Glen.
All right, thank you very much.
That was Don Skorek, who took a bit of a surprise podium here today, but it's going to close out our broadcast. And of course, as always, we want to thank our sponsors here at the PRL GTE Sports Car Series, Simulation Motorsports Affinity. They can be found at simsa.net if you want to get involved in the worldwide sim racing community, and also Butt Kicker. They can be found at thebuttkicker.com, where they've got all their products for your sim rig. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts are listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen prior to get a hold more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Aussie and Sean and Doug. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, where our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_RAM. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store. It's linked below, where it's gsrc.storenvy.com. And while you're down there, make sure and check out the subscribe button. If it's still red, you haven't subscribed yet, click it. You won't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, we're heading over to Watkins Glen. That'll be Tuesday, June 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern, a week from now. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. Make sure and check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.